Welcome everybody to another episode of the On Their Way Up podcast about up and coming entertainers and the up and coming days of established entertainers. My name is Spencer Gordman. I'm a stand-up comedian, and today I am joined by a very special guest. She makes up one half of the band Greywind, which was formed in 2014. They've worked with bands such as You, Me at Six, Thrice, and the Coronas, and have been featured on MTV and BBC Radio. You can find their 2017 album Afterthoughts and their 2021 single Am I Asleep on Apple Music and Spotify, both of which are so good and have been dominating my Spotify for the past 3 weeks. Thank you for being on the podcast, Steph OSullivan.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the kind words as well. I really appreciate that.
I mean, thank you for the incredible music, I think, first and foremost. Yeah, the album and the single are so good, and I think it's really interesting how you guys got there. But I mean, just first and foremost, go check out their music. It is well worth it. So kind of going back, so you and your brother Paul make up Greywind. You guys both are from, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, Killarney, Ireland.
Killarney, yes, you got it right. You're one of the few people to get that right. Well done.
I may have looked it up on Wikipedia and then looked up.
Okay.
It was like, here's how you pronounce it. Yeah, and I didn't know what any of the symbols meant, so I had to look up what the symbols meant, and I was like, okay, that's.
See, you shouldn't have told me that. See, you should just pretended you're just a genius.
I can edit this out. Don't worry. I'm just gonna make it sound like I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Oh, obviously.
So describe Killarney to people, because the pictures, it looks beautiful, but it's a pretty small town.
Yeah, it's very, very small. It looks, if you see our album artwork, it basically looks like that. We've kind of subconsciously, I think, made our album artwork look like that. So it has mountains and lakes. There's a castle 5 minutes down the road from me, and but I don't take notice of it when I'm here. I think when you live here, you don't really notice how nice it is, but yeah, there's always tourists here. It's like the top tourist place in Ireland. So
wow,
yeah, it's very nice.
That's so funny. You're like, yeah, that's just the neighborhood castle. You don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be going for a walk or a run, and I'm just running past the castle.
See, American small towns, it's usually oh, that's our town's Midwest meth lab, and that's it's totally different.
Like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I was joking. So
oh my God.
What were the because it said there's only 15,000 people that live there. It's 15 square miles. What were the pros and cons of kind of having the dream of being musicians and then living in a town like that?
So I would say the pro is that I don't know if there's a pro. Well, it kind of worked out that it ended up just being me and Paul in the band. I guess in the end result, that's the pro. But at the time, growing up, I was always complaining I want to be in a band, and there was just no one. There was no little emos. I was one of the very few. So yeah, it was very difficult. I was there just in my My Chemical Romance hoodie, and people would be like, "You emo, you goth," and they didn't get it. Now I'm like, "Oh, now you like it," but it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, we could never basically find anyone, and Dublin's 4 hours away. So even going to shows, we had to it was cheaper to fly to London to see a show than to get a train to Dublin. Yeah,
that's so crazy.
We're right at the bottom of Ireland as well, so it's the southwest. So so it was kind of good, like I said, in the end run, where we would just in the end we were just let's just do it ourselves. But yeah, growing up it was a bit difficult.
Oh, I bet, growing up in a town like that, because I grew up in a city called Omaha, Nebraska, which is in the dead middle of the US. It's a million people, and million people, I'm like, God, I got to get out of here and go something bigger. But that is a true small town.
Yeah, it's just little old people and nuns just walking around. It's very Irish. Everything you imagine about Ireland, there's the local drunk man, it's like that. It's out of a movie. Yeah,
that's so funny.
Very good. I know. I had nuns in school teaching me and everything. Yeah. Yeah, instead of teachers, you'd have nuns.
So is it a Catholic, or I don't know if it's probably Protestant? or
it's kind of this both. It's mostly Catholic, like
mostly
it's very
Catholic?
religious. It's like Jesus, yeah, it's like Jesus is everywhere. It's,
Oh,
there's churches.
so
It's that
you
type of
growing up,
place.
like growing up emo, that must have been like, I mean, you must stuck out like a sore thumb. Did I assume you felt that kind of
Yeah.
growing up?
Oh yeah, I was in an all-girls school with nuns everywhere, and I'm
Oh my
just a little
God.
goth, like, and I was like always been told take your eyeliner off, and you're not allowed to wear that hoodie, and just yeah.
Wow.
But I yeah, I didn't really care. Yeah,
So then how
so
did
I
you
was
get
just dreaming
exposed?
about being in a band.
Oh, I totally get it. Uh,
Yeah.
so I assume you got exposed to all this music through like, uh, I guess how did you get exposed to all this stuff?
So there was this. It was Paul would sometimes bring home CDs, those burnt CDs from school that his friends would give, and then he kind of passed them on to me because it was just that kind of way. Kids
Hmm.
now don't they just have Spotify and stuff,
Yeah,
but back then
exactly.
we had like he would literally come home and be like, "Oh, I have this band." But I remember there was a show over here. I don't know, did they have it in America? That Top of the Pops. Do they
Mm-mm.
have that in America? Top of the
I'm
Pops.
not.
Anyway, they.
I'll like I'll be honest. I grew up on my dad's radio stations. So like I just
Okay.
moved into this is my college apartment. I just moved in yesterday, but like in a week from now it'll have like Pink Floyd and Rush posters and like all that
No.
kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
like
my dad was the same. I had all his tapes as well, the classic dad bands and stuff.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that is my
But
jam.
yeah. So there was a show Top of the Pops and they had Top of the Pops Saturday and then one morning I watched it like every week and then I think I was like 12 and I saw My Chemical Romance were on it and I was like, who is this? This is it for me. Like I want to be in a band because of these people. And then yeah, I was obsessed. And then I think a week later Paul brought home a CD, a mix CD and My Chemical Romance were on it. And I was like, oh my God, that's that band that I think I love. And then I was just became obsessed. And then Fall Out Boy and Taking Back Sunday and all that. Then I discovered MySpace. So back in that time, and
Wow.
it was like YouTube was all happening, and yeah, I basically
Wow.
went full on emo then.
So you really came in at a time where it was like if you wanted to explore music, it was just starting to be right at your fingertips, which must have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
so
it was
awesome for you
like
guys.
yeah, it was like I think it was like 2007, 2008 time of when I was getting into like bands. I had like pop music kind of before and like pop bands like McFly and Busted. I don't know, do you know them in America? But yeah, they're like kind of yeah, they weren't very cool, but I thought they were great. I still think they're great, but yeah, and then I got into obviously the emo rock kind of stuff. So yeah,
And then was Paul always into the same stuff as you? And did he always kind of have that same dream of being musicians or of being a musician with you?
yeah. Paul actually didn't even learn guitar till he was 18, but he always
Wow.
wrote songs. I know, and he was always like he always wrote songs. Like I remember like when I was like he's like 3 years older than me, so when I was like 5 and he was 8, I remember he was like writing songs and showing them to me and I was just singing them like, and it was just
That,
like he was always subconsciously doing that but never kind of said he never said, oh, I want to be in a band. But then I was there just moaning my whole life, like being like, I want to be in a band. Like just complaining my whole teenage years. And then Paul learned guitar and we were like, oh, this is good. And then like we'd go busking in the town, like to all the old ladies singing Taking Back Sunday. They didn't know what was going on. Like everyone's just like, what is this? But yeah, and we had to throw in Mr. Brightside by the Killers just to make people seem like they knew something. But yeah, so yeah, it was yeah, he basically was like, oh yeah, actually I like writing songs and I can play guitar now. So then we just started writing songs together and basically that's it. Yeah.
were your parents very musical at all?
Yeah, my mom, she sings as well. She's a singing teacher and she sings and during the pandemic she started actually
Oh,
writing her own songs as well.
oh
It
my
took her
God.
that long to realize. She was like, wait, yeah, I can write songs.
So
So
is it
yeah,
just
she
like
started writing as well.
oh
Because we
those
were always
wacky
wondering,
musical O'Sullivans like were you just like
yeah.
the
And then
family in
my
the town?
dad, yeah, then my dad, like, he can't sing or anything, like, but he's the poor man, like, but he always, like, played rock music. I'll give him that. He gave us the rock music kind of thing. So, yeah, he
I'm
has
surprised
his part, and then my mom was like,
you almost followed that with he can't freaking beat a drum or do anything, but like God bless him,
oh
you know. He's like
no.
He's a nice
Oh yeah, I
guy,
got
and
that
that's all I
feeling.
need.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He could talk for Ireland. Like yeah, that's his talent.
Oh, that is for
Yeah.
sure mine too. Like my girlfriend is all the
Oh.
musical side. I'm a
Oh.
yabber.
So yeah.
So how much of an impact did your mom have being a voice teacher on your like vocal kind of go at things? I don't know that much about music, so sorry if the
Yeah.
terminology is a little weird.
That's okay. Yeah, I didn't realize actually how beneficial that would be. Do you know when you just have something in your house at all times
Yeah,
and you don't realize? It's like when with the mountains and the lakes, you don't realize what you have. It's kind of
yeah,
like that. And I think I've subconsciously picked stuff up. Like she never forced me to sing and never forced us into music, which was nice. She's not like a stage mom. Like
nice.
she was like, you have to sing. Like she kind of just let us if we wanted to sing. I remember her teaching me Beauty and the Beast Disney
Oh,
songs
nice.
back when I was younger. I remember that was like the first song I like learned, and I remember her teaching me and Paul that, and it was just kind of like she kind of introduced little things, and then like she tried to teach me piano. I hated it. I was like, no, I just prefer singing. I'm not good at multitasking. I can't do it. so so yeah, I think she's so helpful even when I was starting when Greywind when we were got our first ever live shows, like practicing singing them. She really helped me how to breathe properly to sing them because singing them in the studio is completely different, obviously, to singing them live. So she was really
Right.
helpful with that for me. Yeah.
So then you're getting you guys have this idea, you get Paul on board for creating a band. How did Greywind kind of as its, I don't know, in its like formal stage come to be?
So it's a very dark story. I always say this. I always give the pre-warning to people because it turns very like emo, like. But basically, our it is very very emo.
It's
But
all on brand.
our yeah yeah it all ties in, so it's fine. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, so you might as well laugh. So basically, our uncle committed suicide, and that just broke us. It was the first kind of death that really really affected us. It was people were very close to him, and it kind of woke us up to okay, I don't want to waste my life. I want to be in a band. I want to do something. I want to tour the world. And then Paul had written this song Afterthoughts, and he showed it to me, and then we started working on it and did the demo up in Paul's room. Like we just still don't know how to use GarageBand to record songs. So
Oh
we
my
were like
god.
using the iPhone voice notes, and we're like trying to do the guitar parts, and we're just yeah. So we kind of did it that way, and then we were like, okay, let's go to the studio, record this. So we went. Our mom drove us up to Belfast, which is the opposite side of Ireland, and I don't know why we picked like across the country, but
Because you can't make it
yeah, we
easy
went
on
up
her.
there. I know. We just found like the furthest away studio, but yeah. So then we recorded that song Afterthought, and then it was just a demo. We weren't really thinking anything of it. We just kind of wanted to do something for ourselves. Like we didn't have fans. Like we kind of just wanted to do something to feel like we're not sitting here doing nothing and wasting our lives, basically.
Yeah.
And so then we put that up on SoundCloud and YouTube and Bandcamp. And then the next day we had all these major labels like messaging us in our email and managers and stuff. And we were like, what is happening? And it kind of was just circulating around the music industry. And we were like, we thought people were making fake emails, just trying to mess
Oh
with
my
us.
god.
Like, but
Because how old were
yeah,
you
but
guys when
it
this
was, they all
happened?
kind of, I was 20, yeah, and Paul was then 23, yeah. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
and I'm 28 now, so damn, I'm getting old. But yeah, so it was, yeah, it was all at that time. It was like, oh my god, it's all happening. Like you think, oh, this is amazing, but obviously then it's not that kind of easy. Stuff
No,
obviously
no.
happens after that, and yeah. So at the time, we were like, what is happening? This is crazy, and oh my god, all of our dreams are coming true. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's that kind of, it felt like a bit of a fairy tale, but then it obviously turned into a nightmare.
Really?
But now it's good
So
again, so it's fine.
yeah, now it's
Yeah.
we'll get that back to that later because you guys are on like a
Yeah.
probably a bigger. Well, I don't know if it's you can kind of compare the two, but like you guys are blowing up on social media right now over like the past 2 weeks. We're recording this on August 16th, and like literally like end of July until now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
what has that whole
crazy.
thing been like?
that has been crazy. Like when I wake up every morning, I'm like, I check my phone. I'm like, please let that be real. Like, don't mess with me. Like, let me not be dreaming, because it's actually crazy. Like, I can't, like, I don't know. I can't really explain it. It just kind of happened. Like we've said on our social media, like we have no PR team, we have no social media, we just only got management the past week, really, and they're people who
Wow.
we know and trust. So it's not like kind of all like we have no label, we have nothing. Like, and so that was all happening. It was just Paul was our social media manager. Like I was just sitting here I'm doing nothing. Like Paul's doing all the TikTok and all that. I'm just taking the credit, like.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
so
And
it's
congrats on getting
absolutely
a
crazy.
manager.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I
That's
hope
awesome.
this one is the last one I ever get.
Yes, that's the big dream is just find
Yes.
somebody you can stick with
Yes.
until you both retire.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So, like going back, or I guess kind of comparing the two, like, do you
Yeah.
feel like with the first one where you guys got picked up by all these labels and started getting all of this
Yeah.
music industry kind of attention, did you feel like you guys were too early into it to fully take advantage of it, or what were the emotions looking back?
I feel like the people who picked us up knew we were new to it and basically like wanted money basically, and knew that, oh, I can try to maybe control this. But then me and Paul always knew the type of band that we wanted to be in, so we'd like talk back and they didn't like that.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
like we eventually, as it went on, like at the start we were very naive and like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then as it went on, we were like, yeah, wait, you're not actually doing your job. Like this isn't right. Like you're, why aren't we playing shows? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And they didn't like that we started to kind of speak up like for ourselves, and then eventually then let us go and dropped us and stuff. And it was kind of, at the time it was really difficult for us, like mentally it was really difficult. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so glad that happened. And even now it's like a similar thing happening now, but in a completely better way, because we're gaining so many fans, and it's no
Yeah.
industry stuff that, like that stuff can come and go, as I know. And it's I don't know, and it's, I love that it's the album that we always believed in. Like we recorded Afterthoughts in 2015, and now it feels like it's come out again in the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks. And having like, we had, was it like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, we had 4,000 followers on Instagram, and now today we have 108,000, and it's just
It's
insane.
crazy.
Like I never thought that would happen. Like it's just absolutely crazy. And I'm so happy there's no label taking credit, or like no, even
Yeah.
the managers are like, no, you guys did this. Like I'm so like proud of ourselves that we kept going and we just believed in ourselves. So yeah,
Well, first off,
sorry for that beautiful speech.
no, I love all of it. Well, and the first thing is I've never, and this is the first time I'm ever hearing of the music industry trying to take advantage of young talent. I've never heard of that before, so it's really a good
Oh
warning.
yeah.
Yeah, this is
Oh yeah,
brand
it's
new.
so new. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
never happened before. Yeah, we
yeah,
should have known. Like looking back, I'm like, how was I that dumb? Like, but
yeah,
in the moment, you're like when you eventually, I hope someday we have a Netflix documentary, because there's so many little details that I just want to tell people, but I'm scared if I say I'll get sued or something. So there's a lot of like little things that I'm like are shocking. Like, but on Netflix, if you're listening, like, give me a documentary.
And if you're listening, give me a special. So there we go.
Yeah, you can interview me in the Netflix
And you can
documentary.
do the music for my
And you can
special.
have your special.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think we just
Done.
made a whole thing right now. This is fantastic.
I know, yeah, it's fun.
Uh, well, and it's probably like it gave you guys so much experience into what the industry actually
Yeah,
is like beyond the rose-colored glasses that now you have such a better
yeah.
perspective.
Oh yeah, now I'm like, I know it's bad to say, but I trust no one. Like it would take a lot
Right.
for me to be like, oh, like I know every time someone talks to me, I'm like, you're just talking absolute crap. Like
Right.
people who are managers now are one. Actually, it was Jason Perry who recorded our album. He produced our album, so
Mhm.
I completely trust him. His brother Adam, he drummed on Afterthoughts, and their
Get
experience
out.
in manager things. And then Pip Newby is Jason's manager, who is he used to be in A&R and stuff, so he's a very smart guy as well. So I think we're really lucky now that I feel like we have solid management, whereas before we've gone through like managers who just don't have a clue what they're doing, and they're just a bit, we went through ones that take advantage and then ones that just don't know what they're doing, and you're just like, I'll just do the job for you kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And
exactly.
yeah, so but now I feel like we finally found good one. Yeah,
And that's
fingers
awesome. And
crossed,
I
touch
want,
wood. I won't jinx
right. Well, I wanted to kind of touch
that.
on Jason Perry, who, shout out, is a Rush fan. Always,
Oh yeah, he's obsessed.
I love Rush so much. It is like, if anybody picks anything up from the like listening through like the first 10 podcasts, it's just that I like Rush more than somebody my age should. Um,
Oh my god, you would
so
get on with Jason very well
oh,
then.
I'm sure I get along with,
Yeah, he's
because
obsessed.
he's what, probably in his late 40s or 50s or
Yeah,
something.
he's 50s. Yeah, yeah, and his twin brother Adam, he loves Rush too. They're obsessed. So
Yeah, I get
the
along with
three of
all
you
the
are
guys
like
that
puppets.
age.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are, I
And my
always say
dad,
like,
my dad loves Rush too.
yes.
So yeah.
All right. Shoot, maybe I should be talking to them. I might have to say goodbye to you and start talking
I
to
know.
them about.
I'll just leave. I know. I'll leave. I'll tell my dad to come out
No, this
here
is um so yeah, so Jason, you guys get introduced to him. What influence did he have on your guys' music? Because I know you guys said you were pretty steadfast in the sound you wanted. So how did he help you guys
now. Yeah.
out?
So we met him when it was our first management. That time they put us basically in contact with him. They sent him Afterthought, the demo, and he was like, "Oh my god, I want to work with this band. Oh my god!" So we met him, and then we did a official version of it, which is what you can hear on the album. That's like the official one that he recorded, and we did that in London. And he basically helped me kind of hone in my voice. Basically, I know my mum helped with the kind of singing part of like how to breathe and all that, but he helped me
Mhm.
with my dynamics a lot of when to go soft. And like I'd be like, instead of like shouting and not shouting but being very loud, I had to kind of pull back at times where I wouldn't have necessarily done that. And yeah, he taught me how to kind of cut words, and yeah, basically, and we just kind of worked really well together. Like he, if I was pronouncing something weird, he'd be like, "Oh no, keep that," instead of me
Oh,
feeling kind of self-conscious about it. Like and he's the funniest person ever. Like I can't remember recording Afterthoughts. I was having a mental breakdown, and we recorded it in Texas, and
oh
I
my
was
God.
terrified. Yeah, we were in the middle of the desert in Texas recording that, so it was like a big culture shock. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that part.
Yeah,
So
no, that
yeah,
is
we
wild. You go from small
yeah,
town,
so we
beautiful, lush green
yeah,
castles to like three
yeah,
Denny's on the same corner, like sand
yeah, it was,
everywhere.
yeah, in El Paso in Texas. So it was like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So it was like just sand everywhere. There's like these things called tarantula hawks flying. I thought I was gonna die. It was very dramatic. Yeah.
That is wild.
So it was like a culture shock of that, of okay, this isn't, I'm used to going to Disney World. Like that's my American experience. So
Right.
then to be thrown into like Texas, it was crazy. And then to be like recording an album, we hadn't played a show before.
Wow.
Like we were just throwing it. Yeah, so the songs on Afterthought that I'm singing, I hadn't performed them live before. I haven't played a show. Paul
No
hadn't played a show.
way.
We hadn't been in a band before, so it was completely like overwhelming. So I think having Jason there was really, really important for us, because he knew how to make me laugh in the times where I was very
Yeah.
like on edge. So yeah,
That's great because the sound on the
yeah,
album, it doesn't sound like you guys had never played a song before, that you were
yeah,
like doing this like a year. Like, it is such a high level sound, and it sounds very
oh, thank you.
professional and very well done. And obviously him being a part of that, but you guys are making the music. And I think with how
Yeah,
experienced the music sounds and how inexperienced you guys
yeah,
actually were, that's absolutely nuts.
yeah. I think he just really brought out the best of us, and like I think that's why it sounds the way it does. I think because he somehow, I don't know how he does it. Like, yeah, I think with
So
anyone
cool.
else we wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah.
So, do you guys still live in Ireland, or are you in the US, or where are you guys based out of right now?
No, no, we're in Killarney still. Still here in my little house in Killarney.
Gotcha.
Yeah, with my
So
dogs.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Eventually I'd want to move somewhere, but I need to like figure out where first. I want to tour the world first and then figure
yeah,
out where I want to go.
yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, so much to kind of talk about. I kind of want to go back. Um, as you got to know more about music, did you draw on any other influences as you guys got older and more experienced? Or like, how did
That is a really good
influences
question. Yeah.
change throughout the years?
I think it's always been that rooted emo alternative sound. Like
Mhm.
they always will be my favorite bands. Like I still will listen to My Chemical Romance like every day as if they're a new band. Like I'm that I don't. It's so bad that I don't listen to new stuff. I'm so like attached. I will literally like there's not really new bands. I just listen to Greywind demos and all these bands, and like I think that's why we kind of even the amount of messages we've got from people that are saying, "Oh, your sound is so nostalgic," and we didn't intentionally kind of do that. I think it just subconsciously happened when we were writing, and yeah, I think I do like pop music, like, but I wouldn't like maybe melody wise our melodies we put kind of maybe pop influences, but like it's always that core emo sound. Like there's this band Laney who I really like, and even like Loud, those guys. Like I love their melodies. It could be so
Mhm.
good. Even like Charlie XCX, like I love her. Like, but you wouldn't think I'd probably listen to that because I'm like, yeah, my favorite romance. But yeah, I think our core like favorite thing. Like Paul is obsessed with pop music as well. He'll be listening to like anything. Like I could be hearing him upstairs when he's listening to Britney Spears. Like you don't know what you'll get with Paul. Like Vanessa
That's great.
Carlton, A Thousand Miles is always playing in Paul's
That's
room.
so
Like,
funny.
it's so, but people probably think we sit here and listen to like, which I do, but yeah, so it's that core, yeah, emo thing.
So then, like, when you guys are creating songs, do you feel those different dynamics play in? Or I guess also just what's your process of putting together, pick any song, like Am I Asleep, for example?
So Paul is usually the one that's so good at coming up with song ideas. I'm really bad because I can't play guitar or anything. Like I'm just here like
Right.
singing in my head. Then I'll come to him with an idea and it's just like dirt. Like but yeah, he usually will bring me a song and we'll work on it together and kind of I can always hear what he explains, if that makes sense. We're always just on the same page. We're very lucky, I think, because we like the same music. When we write, then we usually agree, which is very good. And as of right now, we always have agreed. Maybe in the future we
That's
might not,
good.
but we usually are on the same page when we're writing songs. And yeah, usually Paul will just sit on his acoustic guitar and he'll have a song idea, and then he'll show me, and then basically we'll work on it. Like I said earlier, we don't know how like garage band, no interest in using that. I think it gets too because I think by the time you set it up, we always say by the time you set it up, you're so like annoyed at stuff not working that you
Yeah.
lose like the creativeness. So we usually just get both of our phones and get the voice memo app thing, and then Paul will sing it once like through, and then I'll do harmonies with my phone with the other one playing and record it into the phone, and just and it probably sounds more confusing, but it works for us. That's how we basically demoed the whole of Afterthoughts album. Like,
Well, and it's like,
so yeah,
if it works for you guys,
yeah,
I think,
exactly, and yeah, and we always say if it sounds good in that form, in that messed up way, then it must be good.
yes. Oh, absolutely. And you get too bogged down in the weeds of making it, and it kind of loses the
Yeah,
original creativity and the emotion behind it.
yeah,
And especially when you're
yeah. Like
working
when
with
you're
GarageBand.
writing jokes, like when you're writing jokes and stuff, you're thinking, oh wait, should I add more? Like, or no, wait, should I? Am I adding too
Yeah.
much? And it would be like you don't want to overthink stuff. And I think that's why we'll probably we could be like 5 albums in, and I can guarantee we will probably still work this way. We'll have like a massive studio. We just won't know how to use it. So
That's
yeah, that's
awesome.
yeah,
I think you're totally right. If something works in a very like primitive, like this shouldn't work form, like these voice
yeah,
memos are like
exactly.
in stand up, it's you always we're trying our jokes and everything at open mics. So the audience is small, they're usually tired,
Yeah,
it's a lot of comedians. So if a joke works in that element, it'll for
you're
sure
like
work in
this
like
is
a real
it.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I totally agree with like you don't want to get too bogged down. Just get it from your head
No.
into something that can remember it for you as quickly as you can, so then you
Yeah.
can keep working on it.
Even like the notes app, just write lyrics into a notes app. Like I'll be
Oh my
out
god.
on like a run, or I'll be like in bed at like 3 a.m. and I'll be like, oh my god, wait, I have an idea. I need to write something down.
It's the
Then the
worst.
next day you read it and it's crap. But yeah,
That's the
you're
same
like,
my
wait, no,
notes
I wish
app.
I didn't. Yeah, it's full of just crap. Like, but there's some good stuff in there. There is some good
Yes.
stuff.
There's a lot of there's enough good stuff to make it worth it, but my god, you have to weed through all of this garbage. But
Oh
yeah, like
yeah,
writing stuff at 3 in the morning,
yeah,
wake up, it's not even
yeah,
in English. You're like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's bad. Like, yeah. But see, Paul doesn't have that problem because he's like just really good. I'm the weaker one of the two. He just comes with a full song that's like amazing. I'm like, how do you do
Well,
that? But
I think
yeah, he's good.
because like I want to talk about your guys' dynamic because the picture you're painting is he's kind of the like the guy who comes up with the ideas. He runs the social media. He's kind of doing more of that stuff. But
Yeah,
then listening to the music, like the music is great and like the different instruments and everything, but your voice
yeah.
really steals the
Oh,
show. So I think
oh,
it's
thank you.
it's
Oh,
really interesting how you guys work together. So I wonder, has the dynamic between you and Paul changed since you were siblings with a dream versus now you're a full-fledged band and going through this whole process?
I don't think so. I think we've always, just like I said before, we've always just really worked well together. There's never any like sibling rivalry. Like I don't like it's not like, oh my god, Paul can write this amazing song. I don't get like, oh, I wish I could do that. It's like I know my strength. Like I can
Mhm.
add some my little stuff to a song. I can add a vocal thing that he wouldn't have maybe thought of because he doesn't sing. But I know how I can, like, I'm able to be like, oh, Paul's amazing at that, and he knows he's amazing at that. He's very, very lucky, and yeah, I think we work well because, and Paul's very like particular with stuff, so I think he likes that I'm not like, I trust him in his process, and yeah, and I think when he'll, and I'm very honest as well. If he comes to me with something and I'm like, yeah, I don't like that, like he'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, and then he'll say you're wrong, like, but then it'll be fine. But yeah, we're very lucky. I always think that, I always have never thought it's actually really good. Imagine if we didn't work well together, that would be very bad. Like Oasis, I always say, like like Noel and Liam Gallagher, like from Oasis, it would be very bad, that sibling rivalry where they, do you know Oasis over in
I
America? No.
yeah, I know like a couple of songs. I mean, when there are
Yeah,
people here who it's just my music is
yeah.
like so
It's
odd.
fine.
It's just like
Basically, Liam and Noel Gallagher are very aggressive to each other, and they have a massive falling out, and they haven't spoken in years. It's all very dramatic over here. So they, I always say we're like the nice version of them, basically.
that's awesome.
We
Uh
will never fight. Yeah,
well, and it's probably because you guys trust each other so much, just because you're
yeah,
siblings and that extra element of trust and comfort with each other. Do you think that helped
yeah.
to really highlight the bullshit in the music industry? Because like when you were working on it with your brother, you guys were able to trust each other wholeheartedly. So when you saw this garbage for what it, or do you think that helped you see the garbage for what it was quickly?
Yeah, and like I said, when that happened with our first management, when they dropped us that time, and we, like, our label dropped us, it was like this whole thing. It was like our label dropped us, then our, a couple months later, our manager dropped us, and our agent dropped us at the same time as them. It was like we lost basically everything in like the space of a couple months, and it was like, oh my god, okay, we have nothing. What do we do? Our album just came out like 6 months ago. Like what?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was literally in the same year our album came out. Then we got dropped by our management like 6 months later, and yeah, it was like so really weird. And then I bleached my hair. Obviously, had a mental breakdown. Bleach. I used to have brown hair. I was like going through a breakup. You know, when you change your hair.
Yeah,
But I think it
exactly.
worked. It worked. So I bleached my hair, and I was like just sad all the time. I was really, really upset. And Paul is the stronger one of the two of us. Like I'm so lucky that he's in this band with me, because I don't know how I would have continued. I would never have quit, but I would have found it. There's days where I was just like, I can't even get out of bed. Like I'm so upset. I feel like everything's gone. And he really helped me get through that. And I was looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I was so like selfish, because he's going through this exact same thing as me. Like, and not even like, and he's just able to obviously handle it better. But yeah, he always was like, no, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. We're going to be the biggest band in the world. It's fine. It's fine. Just wait. Just wait. And he would always give really good pep talks, and it really helped. So I think I'm very lucky to have my brother, and even my mom and dad. Like their other parents wouldn't have been as kind of lenient to, oh, you want to be a musician. A lot of people would be
Oh,
like, okay, that failed, okay, go get a real job or whatever. So like I'm very lucky with my family that they are so supportive. And yeah, so I think if it was just some random guy I was in a band with, maybe, or obviously not as close, you haven't grown up literally together, so maybe it wouldn't have worked out the way it did. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And God, I cannot imagine. I love my brother. I love my brother. I don't think we would be able to do anything like this together.
People always say that to me. They're like, love my brother or my sister, but no, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah,
And yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. We just always have basically been best friends. I think because we're close in age as well. We're only like 3 years apart, so we're basically best friends. So it's, oh my God, I'm so
that's
cute. I just
awesome.
realized how
No,
nice
you guys are
it is.
adorable. Oh my gosh.
Paul will be cringing now. Paul's gonna be cringing. He's like, stop saying that. Like, oh yeah.
He's
So
like, you're making me sound lame in front of my friends.
I know.
Damn it.
I know. I'm sorry, Paul.
It's so
Oh.
funny. Um, so one thing that I always like to kind of ask about on these interviews is the process of putting together a completed work, because it is something I am so fascinated by, because I'm a big album guy. I love listening to an
Yeah,
album, or like in
love
stand up,
that.
like putting a set list together. I was talking with a snowboarder on this a few weeks ago, and
Oh,
putting down like a full half pipe run. So when you guys are creating an
wow.
album, uh, what is your process with that? And obviously, how much of an influence did Jason Perry have on that? And then I'll start with that, and then I have a
So,
follow up question as
oh yeah,
well.
okay, okay. So basically, we had afterthoughts. We had that demo. It all went crazy in the music industry, and then we were getting phone calls from managers saying, "Oh, you have other songs, right?" And we were like, "Yeah, yeah." We had no other songs. Like we were like, "Oh, we had like bones of songs. Like we didn't have any full. That was the only song fully we had written. We just had like
Wow.
skeletons of songs." So we were just like lying, like, "Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, you're gonna fly me over to London for free? Okay, sure. Yes, then we have plenty of songs." So it was just, you have to just wing it, like, and I'm in like label meetings, and I'm like, yeah, we have a whole album written, and
Oh
we
my
have
god.
nothing, like, we just have these, like, yeah. So we had, but basically, we subconsciously had our album like there, but it was just in skeletons, like it wasn't like as a whole thing. Like we had basically every song written, but like I said, they weren't songs. Like they were just little, maybe a verse of Safe Haven was there, and or
Mhm.
I remember we had the mid eight part of Stitch on My Wings. We had that for like
Yeah.
5 years, and didn't ever think, like, we always had ideas for songs, but never like made them songs, if that makes sense. But so then when we signed to our label that time, they were like, okay, we're going to send you to Essex in England with Jason Perry for like 2 months, and you're going to go there, and you're going to go to this. We were in this place called Mushroom Studios, and
Oh my
it looked like
god.
a shed. It looked like, like or a barn in America, I guess how you describe it, and it
And
stunk. Like it was so
it's
bad.
called Mushroom Studios because that's what's growing out of the
Mushroom.
floorboards.
Exactly. It smelled like mold. Like we'd come
Oh,
out every day of the studio, and we'd be like, we all stink of mold. Like we're gonna die. And so, but then Jason promised us. He said, we're gonna fix the songs in here. and then I'm going to get you to, your label is going to pay for you to go to Texas to record. So we're going to go into the nice desert then and work. And he kept his promise. We got to go to Texas then. But basically, we were in Essex for like 2 months and showed Jason all of our ideas, and we just worked basically on forming them into full songs, and basically just wrote other parts for like 2 months. But most of the time we didn't actually work. Like we'd go to the cinema and we'd go eat breakfast and lunch, and then we'd come back and work for like an hour, and then it was so like effortless. It was really weird. He has, like I said, he has this way of you're working without realizing you're working. Because if you
Yeah.
sit down and try to write a song or fix a song, that's really hard, because you can't just turn on like productiveness or like creativity. So we'd like go to see a movie and then come back and we'd be all inspired, or just go
Yeah.
outside for like a walk. And yeah, it just worked kind of that way. And then yeah, and then we had basically, we didn't do a pre-production. Usually when you do an album, the band gets pre-production with the full band, but we didn't even have a band. It was just me and Paul. So we didn't get to do a pre-production. We just had like demos on Jason's laptop of our album basically. And then Jason's brother Adam, who's now our manager, he came over to play. He was in a band with Jason called A. They were big in like the early 2000s. So he Adam played drums on Afterthoughts, and then Mark from A, he played bass, and yeah, and then Paul obviously did the guitar. So we had like this like a Jason's band and then just us. So it was like, and just all in Texas, and so all of that was happening, and we were like, yeah, we haven't played a show yet though. So that's a bit
That's
weird.
crazy.
And then like I said, then it just all kind of happened. Yeah, it was
Oh, so then
weird.
first show you do, take me through all of that. Like, where
Oh
was
my
it? The
god.
emotions, like how nervous were you? Like, I want to hear all of this. This is so interesting.
Yeah, it was, so we were touring with this band. They've broken up now actually. They across the UK. Basically, we were the first band on the bill, and there was another band and then them. So we were like the opening band, and I was
Nice.
like, oh god. So it was a whole, like, it was like a 10-day tour. Every venue sold out. They're in like 1,000 cap venues. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna be playing to 1,000 people every night. I've never played a show before. This is great. But I was like, every time I say this to people, they're like, really? I was obviously nervous, but I was so excited because I was like, this is all I've ever wanted to do. Like, what's the point of being nervous? Obviously, you'd be nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, no, I wasn't nervous, but I think after you do the first line, like, you're fine. I think with any,
Yeah.
even like, I'm sure you know that with your stand up, like as soon as you have the first line said, you're fine. And I didn't even know how I meant to move or anything. I just kind of did it and kind of developed my presence, I guess, the more shows we played. And like looking back, I have like videos and stuff from that, and I'm like, damn, I didn't do bad. Like they sound good. Like I would put that on the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Are those the videos
yeah.
that are on your
So
guys like Instagram and TikTok and stuff? Or
yeah,
did those come
we
later?
have ones that we haven't. No, we have ones that we actually haven't uploaded yet. But there's ones from our first ever show, and I'm
Oh my
singing
god.
Afterthoughts, and there's like the full crowd, and we actually, that's a good idea. Actually, we need to post that.
Dude, I would love to
But
hear that
yeah.
and the Afterthoughts demo. Like that
Oh
rough
yeah, the
draft that got
Afterthoughts
sent
demo.
out.
Yeah,
That would be so
yeah.
cool to listen
That's
to.
not that. It's not that different from the version of now. It's just and the chorus we had like an extra vocal part, and then in the like the bridge there was just another vocal. It wasn't that different. But then there was, I remember we were playing Download Festival, Download Festival.
I
We were
don't, but
playing
I
that one year, and yeah, so
okay.
we were in like the press area doing interviews and stuff, and then this guy who just interviewed us like walked up to me and was like, yeah, I prefer the Afterthoughts demo, and then like walked away, and I was like, okay, like thanks. Is that supposed to, it's still my song, like you're not offending me. Like I think he was trying to like annoy me, and I was ready to like go chase him, but Bob's like, no, he's trying to hold me back. I was like,
Oh
no.
my god.
But yeah, so and it's not that different. So like if he likes the demo better, it's fine. Like it sounds the same to me. Like it's slightly obviously less, the quality isn't the same, but yeah.
That's definitely a
Sorry, I
guy
had to
who
get
was
the
just
rage.
like,
I haven't
yeah.
yeah, I haven't said that story in years. I felt my heart like racing with the rage came back for that.
Well,
Like,
and all that guy is he's an asshole who saw two young,
exactly,
talented people and was like,
exactly.
I need to knock him down a peg. I need to, so then
Yeah,
he's probably like, oh, they're going to want my
yeah,
approval. And it's like, go fuck yourself, random. I
yeah,
imagine he was just fat, had like a
exactly.
mustard stain on his beard. Like, I just make him
Exactly.
look
He
like
looks
a
exactly
slob.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said it while shaking my hand as well. Like he was holding my hand as he's saying it. Like, don't touch me.
That's gross.
Don't you dare touch me. I
That
know.
is,
Yeah. I don't even know where that came out of nowhere. That just story. I had a flashback there.
you're like sitting down in
All my
therapy. So now I
trauma.
need to ask, and how did that
Yeah.
make you feel? Did that relate to your childhood? Do you feel like?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
So then, um,
Yeah.
now like, well, first I think that what you said like really hit home to me was you grow up dreaming about it. So when you finally get the chance to
Yeah.
be on stage performing in front of 1,000 people, it's like, well, I've been laying in bed every year for years thinking about this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like even we played Reading and Leeds Festival, and I think that was like our 15th and 16th shows. And it's like I had posters on my wall like of bands that have played that. Like I watched My Chemical Romance headline that, like, and it was like so like surreal us being there. So you think, oh, I can't be nervous. Like, what's there to be nervous about? Obviously, you have little butterflies before you go on, but I'm not like, oh my god, I can't do it. Nerves. You're just like, you want to go on. Like, so
Yeah, it's the
it's
good
good,
nerves.
good. Yeah, good nerves.
That's so great. You
Yeah.
guys have such a wild story. I mean, this is like
Oh, it's
one of
crazy.
the most atypical kind of like band or performer come up stories I've ever heard, but it's fascinating. Like you definitely need a
Yeah.
documentary.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do agree. But yeah, it is crazy. Like when I say it, I forget it's me sometimes because it sounds so
Mm,
weird. Like it's so it's like obviously stuff stuff happens with the industry and people have like similar stories, but I think ours is a bit weird because it kind of happened straight away and then all we lost it all and then we got it back again. And
yeah.
it's like a complete roller coaster. It's crazy. Yeah. It's
And it
so
does
weird.
feel very like out of body when I tell people that I started doing stand-up comedy when I was 16, uh, which is
Really?
yeah, which was
Wow.
yeah, and I don't know how it is in Ireland. They probably let you start drinking when you're 11, but in the
Yeah,
US it's
that is true.
it's like I wasn't technically supposed to be in these bars that I was performing at.
Yeah, it's 21, isn't it? It's 21
Yeah,
in
it
America.
is
That's
late,
crazy.
but
That is
it's
crazy. And you can
like
drive there at 16, can't you?
no,
Before you can drive
I
at
was able to
16.
drive myself, but I had to drive my dad and I there so he could like
Oh,
chaperone me in the bar. Oh my,
oh,
it was nuts. And I went
oh
on
my
way too
God.
late, and it was like everybody there was like a, straight from a nut house, and but then like now
And
I'm
would
friends
you
with
have
all of
like
them.
school? Would you have like school and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
during this? Like,
oh
that's
yeah,
crazy.
absolutely. I was a sophomore in high school. Now I'm a junior in college.
Wow.
Technically, I'm a junior. I'm graduating a year early, so all that stuff. But like
Okay.
I just turned 20 today. So I've been doing stand up for like 3.5 years and I'm
Oh,
still not technically able to go into the bars I'm doing stand up in. Like,
wait,
it's
is it
stupid.
actually your birthday today?
Yeah, obviously, when it's for the people listening, not when it comes out, but when we're recording this, just in case you're waiting. No,
Oh,
obviously.
okay.
But yeah, when
Oh.
today talking to you, yeah, it's my,
Ah,
yeah.
happy birthday. Oh my God. I would
Oh,
sing, but
thanks. You're great.
I can't be, I don't want to because
No, and I
it's a
don't,
bit
believe
embarrassing.
me, I don't want you to
Paul
do
will
my,
tell me not to do that. He'd be like, Steph, you're being embarrassing again. Stop.
that's so,
Like
I'm sure
literally,
that,
he usually doesn't, usually doing these things alone is a risk because I just go off track a lot. So Paul's usually the one that can kind of control, but he's not here today. That's why it's just me. I'm so sorry.
no,
You're
I
stuck with
love
me.
it. No, because this is my brain works the same way. I'm very tangent based. So, but even then, when you
Yeah.
deviate from stuff and tell different stories or elaborate on details, it
Yeah.
gives me more stuff to ask questions about. And no,
Oh,
this
okay,
is
good.
you've
And
been
then I
such a fun
forget.
interview.
Then I go on a tangent. I go on a tangent and then I forget what you asked me, and then I try to like remember and I try to lead it back into that. And
See,
yeah,
this
so
has been my entire life is me going off like 5 miles in the wrong direction. So I've learned how to
yeah,
follow my breadcrumbs
reel it
back.
back
But
in, like
oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy. Um, so then I guess last question before we wrap up. You guys have this big boom on social media. I
yeah.
mean, absolute whirlwind. What are the things that have come from that besides getting, finally good managers? Fingers crossed. Um,
Yeah.
so what has come from that, and then what is next up, kind of riding this wave?
Basically a whole new fan base. Like we've had our fans before, and I'm so grateful for them. I always feel bad because I'm like, we still love you. The people that have been there from like the
Right.
start. I don't like some of them have like been tweeting like, oh, I remember this 5 years ago, and they're like trying to claim that they knew us.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and I'm like, guys, you don't need to do that. It's fine. I love you and I remember you.
They're trying to be
Like, but
hipsters.
like, yeah, and they're like, oh, this is like some of them have tattoos and stuff from like years ago, and they're like, oh my god, I had this from ages ago, and I'm like, yes, I know, it's fine. You're
Crazy.
amazing. But yeah, so basically a whole new fan base and people who just get it. I feel like we were surrounded for years just with like the music industry side of it that just didn't get it, and they're like, oh, this isn't cool enough, this is the, oh, you sound like Paramore, and it's like using that as an offense, and it's like, okay, fair enough, like, but they were saying it in a bad way, and it's like, I take that if someone says, oh, you sound like Paramore, I take that, that's amazing, they're great, but they were saying it, oh, you have to be careful now not to sound like Paramore. It's like, oh my god, just because I'm a girl, like, and just things like that. And I feel like now having people that get it, and that it, hearing people say, oh, it reminds me of my favorite bands growing up. I'm like, oh my god, you get it, because that's what we grew up on. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the biggest, like, my favorite thing to come out of this has been the fans, because it's amazing. Obviously we have the industry side of it, which is amazing, and that will help us further and continue to do this, but the fans are the most important thing. And I know that sounds like really like cheesy and cliche, but it is true. You
That's
can't
what it is.
do, like, we couldn't be Greywind if we don't have fans. So that is the best thing. And every day seeing like our followers go up and people sending us messages and stuff, it's just crazy. Like, it's kind of everything we've ever wanted is kind of is happening. And hopefully now tour the world. Like, I want to get to America. Like, that's my biggest dream, is to play in America. And hopefully, like, we've had so many people say, oh, come to America. So hopefully we're working on that for next year. And obviously the UK and Ireland and Europe and even Australia. Like, we just want to tour
Yeah.
everywhere. I want to go to Japan. Like, I just want to go
Yeah.
everywhere. Like, so that, I just want to be nonstop. I barely want to be home. That's what I want to
Yes.
do. So
Yes, there is. I totally agree with it. I love the idea, and I've heard it's the worst life possible. I've heard it is just so like bad for your physical and mental health and relationships and everything. But touring the country, touring
yeah.
the world, getting on stage every
Yeah.
night is the pinnacle.
Yeah, I'm like, when I think about like relationships, even I'm like, I don't care. Like, guys are annoying anyway. Just get me on tour. I don't care. Like, I don't want to talk to them here anyway. Like, I'm sick of them. It's just like,
Yeah, it's
let
so
me go
funny.
play music.
You're
Give
like
me a
I've
break. Like,
you're like I've met all of the 12 guys in Killarney that are my age. I need to go get
I
out of here.
know. No, and then like I have this rule. I always say I do not date band guys, because that has gone terribly wrong in the past. No
Oh
band,
yeah.
any band guy listening, you do not ever have a chance. It's
Oh
done.
yeah.
No, no, you don't mix business. You don't do
No,
it.
there's a couple comedians. There are successful. Here's the problem. There are successful comedy couples
Yeah.
in like
Oh,
there's
okay.
a very famous one, Tom Segura, Christina Pajitsky. Then like I feel like
Okay.
every kind of city you have like one comedy couple that works, and then that gives everybody
Yeah.
hope that theirs will work, and it will not.
Oh no,
It likely will
no. You
not.
just don't
It's too
like.
tough.
Yeah, it just doesn't. No, and I think it's nice if someone has a different thing instead of you just talking about the
Yes.
same thing all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, my girlfriend is I mean she is the absolute best. We just her parents
Oh,
were in our college time. We go to college together, and she gave me, this is
oh,
wild. It's not super expensive. It's a beginner version, but she bought me a fucking bass guitar.
Oh, cool.
I
Wow, that's
which
so nice.
Yeah, and
That,
she taught me how to play guitar,
aw,
and I have a few guitar. My
aw.
grandpa
Oh,
who
you said does she play music, you said? Is she a
Yeah, she goes
musician?
to school for
Oh,
it's called music therapy, which sounds really like
oh.
granola and froofy and stuff, but it is very like scientifically based. Like in talking with her and her friends and all the stuff they're doing, it's like working in schools and hospitals and very um, scientific techniques on the types of stuff they do. So when the pandemic hit, stand up was fully paused, and my grandpa, who died like a week before I was born 20 years ago, left two beautiful old guitars. So I got those. I bought one of my own, and now I have a bass guitar, which is just so fun.
Amazing.
But yeah, she's the best, and I bounce all
Amazing. That's
my
so
ideas off
nice.
of her because she's so funny, and she'll tell me like
Oh.
that was hacky, like that's dumb, and I've heard 8 comedians talk
Yeah.
about that this week. Scrap it, do something
Yeah.
else.
Oh, I love that. See, that's what I'm saying. It's nice to have a completely different thing because imagine, yeah, if you're both comedians, it's like you're just trying to make each other laugh all the time. Like,
Which is what we do anyways, but
yeah,
it's not like competing for
yeah,
like
but it's
money and
not in
stage
this.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just in a nice, humble way.
Absolutely. Um, this has been so much fun talking to you. You're such a fun person to
Yeah,
talk
it's
to.
so fun.
And
You are too.
oh,
Beautiful.
I try my best. I do what I can. But I and it's this has been one of my favorite things, the podcast. So the first episode is dropping. Um, it will have come out by the time people are listening to this, but for us it's tomorrow. Um,
Okay.
and so you're my eighth interview. Six of the people
Yeah.
I've known, but two of the people I haven't. The
Oh,
snowboarder I was talking to, and you. And so this has been one of my favorite
yeah.
things that I didn't expect to come out of this podcast would be just talking to people that I'm fans of.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
so good. That's what I like as well. That it's so good. I feel like we just had a nice conversation, which I like. It's not like an interview, like okay, this and then this. It's like you're just talking
yeah,
to a friend, which I like. That's my favorite type of thing.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I really do.
So I'm basically saying we're best friends now, is what I've just said. So,
Well, we better be
you
best
know.
friends if we're about to be business partners. If I'm interviewing you guys for
Oh yeah,
your Netflix
exactly.
special, you're
Yeah,
doing the music for mine.
true, true. Best friends and business partners.
Yeah,
That's it. That's
absolutely. So,
it.
uh, up next, touring. Are you thinking of riding the wave of your new single "Am I Asleep"? Relatively new, came out in 2021, and following that
Yeah.
with another album, possibly.
we have we have we have all these new songs written that are like the best songs. I'm gonna say, like, if you love Afterthoughts, you're gonna lose your mind to these new songs.
Yes.
They're like Greywind on a different level because now we've played shows. So imagine
Yeah.
what we are like writing now that we've played shows. We know
No,
what
and
we're doing now.
that's the crazy thing is Afterthoughts was so
Yeah,
good, and you guys had like basically zero experience in the industry and on
yeah,
stage and like kind of creating all
yeah,
these songs very quickly. And
yeah. So
now, I mean, I'm so excited for it.
yeah, we basically had all this time that we've been kind of dropped by people and all this happening. We've been able to like write about that, and obviously it's some of it's very aggressive, and it's like still the core of Greywind, still that beautiful kind of epic kind of sound. Like, but it's I'm so excited. Next year it'll be the year of Greywind. It will be.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting excited. And where can people
Yeah.
follow your band? Where can people find Greywind and stay up to date with all that's going on?
So on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and Facebook, it's at Greywind Band. Yeah,
Easy
that's it.
enough. Yep.
Simple, I know.
Go check out their music. You guys are on Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple as well, right? Or
Yeah,
iTunes.
we're on everything. Yeah, everything. We're on everything. Yes.
That's awesome.
So you can
Def
find us on
just
our YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys post like
Yeah.
videos of you doing live performances, which are so cool, and
Yeah.
it just
Awesome.
go explore their link tree page or whatever link website you guys
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, go check out Afterthoughts and Am I Asleep. because they're both fantastic. And I mean, as you said, if we like those, this next thing is going to be stellar, which is awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
And
I can promise
uh,
you.
I'm excited. You can follow me, Spencer_Gordman on Instagram and TikTok, Spencer Gordman on Facebook. Um, and then the podcast, more importantly, is On Their Way Up. You spell that THEIR for those of you who are the town drunk in Killarney, Ireland, or who spell about as well as he does.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, he could not spell that.
no, God, no. Uh, and then, yeah, On Their Way Up, subscribe where you're listening, and then follow the podcast. Just name On Their Way Up on Instagram, Twitter, the YouTube page for the videos of the interviews, and Spotify will have the videos as well for the interviews. Um, and then there's a link in the bio of the Twitter and the Instagram to find all the places you can listen to it. So same thing, just go click around on the links. My stuff is on there as well. Um, Steph, thank you so much for this interview. This was so much fun, and I wish
Thank
you and
you. Yeah,
Paul
it's been so fun.
nothing but the best going forward. I think you guys
Oh,
are
thank
absolutely on
you.
the right path now from what you've told me, and I
Thank
think this
you.
next album is going to be so good.
Oh, thank you. And hopefully when we're in America, I can come watch one of your shows as well.
Dude, I want to come
That'd
watch
be fun.
one of your guys' shows. Are you kidding me? I'm like,
Yeah,
I'll.
we can like yeah. You can come to ours and then the next night we'll go to yours.
Oh my, that would be so fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll just plan it around the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? You
be
guys,
so good.
I'll just look at your website and be like, all right, I can go drive there and do an
Hey,
open
I'm
mic.
playing
I
a
got
show
like
tomorrow.
nothing going on.
Yeah.
But all right.
Oh,
Um, so thank you everybody for listening. Definitely go check out Greywind and myself and the podcast, and have a good rest of your day.